I am JP Craddock, and I am here with the one and only Stacy D. Love. We are broadcasting here on KUAW Radio, which stands for Knowledge, Understanding,
and Wisdom. I can't hear nothing.
What's wrong with you? If you'd have got here earlier, D.
Don't.
I hear you perfectly.
We was here 10 minutes early. Was there something going on today?
I hear you perfectly well. You don't hear yourself in your earphone.
Hello?
D, you're on and everything's fine. Like, I hear you through the earphones. Okay, coming up on the show today while she's getting herself together.
I was on time.
Turn this up. You got to turn that up. That's what it is. Okay. Coming up on the show today. This is part 3 and the final part of our 3-part series on anxiety. And people's anxiety has been through the roof during the pandemic. So it was necessary for us to cover all aspects of the anxiety disorders. And that's what we have done. Today is part 3. And today's part is nature versus nurture.
Nature versus nurture.
Nature versus.
Yes.
Is anxiety only hereditary, or is it also learned? Okay. Is it just passed down through family lines from grandparents to parents to kids, or is there a learned component to it? So we're going to get to that. That's coming up usually around the half-hour mark. But first, before we get to that, let's get to our check-in with the D. D, can you hear everything?
No.
You not through your thing?
No.
Okay. Because you sounding good though.
Okay.
What's your check-in?
Okay. I want someone to call in that's in the Kansas City area. Was the president, the vice president, the Chamber of Commerce, or someone in town today? Because you know I don't watch the news.
Just ask Mr. Walker. He'll look.
Mr. Walker, was anybody in town today? Because I done called the police on these people. I done called the police on the police today.
What do you mean?
Because I'm going down I-70 trying to get here at a reasonable time. You know my quarter till time that I tries to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I got a police officer on the motorcycle weaving in and out on both of the things where I'm trying to get off the on-ramp to get onto I-70.
Uh-huh.
Because you probably go the same way I do, don't you?
I take 71. I take 70 to 71, yes.
Oh, no, I don't do 71. I get on 70 and get up on 31st Street.
Oh.
But anyway, so he's going in and out on the off ramp so I can get on I-70. So I called 911. Hey, there's a police officer that's acting very peculiar. He's weaving in and out on his motorcycle.
Erratic. Did you give his number?
I sure did.
Oh, good.
And they was like, we're going to check into that. So then, after I get off the phone,
hopefully he gets fired.
I mean, because he was just going like this.
I'm just kidding.
So then, I see them coming down I-70, like, there go my ramp, and they coming down, and I see a big old cargo, it was 3 of them great big old tour buses, and it was a whole lot of police on their motorcycles.
Well then, yeah, that in Secret Service.
Yeah, I didn't see any Secret Service. I did not see any Secret Service, but they stopped all the ramps. Like, you could not get onto I-70 because a police officer in a motorcycle had all of them blocked. Like, you couldn't get in on Prospect, you couldn't get off on Brooklyn until all 3 of them buses and all the police and all that. Did not see anything with Secret Service. It was just 3 tour buses. It was 3 tour buses, but they were, when I tell you the whole radius.
That was either the president or Janet Jackson. Because they need to pull out all the stops for
I called the police on the police today.
They'll do all that for the Chiefs, Professor. No, they are not doing all that for the Chiefs, Professor.
They do that for the other team?
What?
Well, they was going
better
down
do that for
I-70. If I wasn't very good on my time and wanted to be here early, and that's who made me be here at 8 minutes till instead of my usually 15 minutes, because I was just sitting on the off ramp. And then I called my friend because he always watches the news in the morning, and he didn't answer the phone.
Well, I don't think that was because I didn't hear anything on the news today about the president.
And the Chiefs do not play until Sundays. So do you think they will come already?
Nobody's doing that for the Chiefs. No, they're not. No, I don't think all that's happening for the.
Well, that's what the professionals say.
Professional athlete, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was 3 buses. It was 3 buses, 3 tour buses.
D, is that your whole check-in?
Yeah, that was my whole check-in. Hold on, because I want to say, I think I got it right now. Happy birthday to our other first lady of the show, Nadine Payne. She just had a birthday. I didn't get invited to the birthday party.
There was no party.
Because of COVID, probably.
No. Happy birthday to my honey. We went to Branson. We were supposed to go to Prince's mansion.
I want to do that. I need to really do that.
I got her the VIP passes and everything. And then right before we were supposed to leave, she called them. Because the way it's set up, once you make the reservation, you have to attend. If you don't attend, you just out. They don't care. They ain't giving no money back. They ain't giving you a pat on the back. They're like, you missed it. And so when she called, they said they don't allow kids.
So did you get your money back?
No, because she was calling to let them know we'll be there tomorrow. And they were like, you and 2 adults and a 3-year-old. They said, oh, we don't play that. We don't play those games. Prince didn't play them games when he was living, and we don't play them games now.
How you know Prince didn't play it?
Prince didn't allow 3-year-olds in his house. Remember that? Oh my goodness! Remember Prince and Mai Tai?
Can a researcher check that out? Did Prince have any kids?
Yes,
Professor, check that out.
The baby died. The baby was born disfigured. Yes, it was a very intense situation that he
really
never. And the child died, and after the child died, the 2 of them would not talk about it. They went on a talk show and just kind of pretended as if the child was still living. Like they didn't disclose.
Remember we was talking about the mask last week? People put on masks.
They didn't disclose that the child had passed away. It was a intense situation. So anyway, we ended up.
And he had the baby by who?
His wife.
Who was that?
Mai Tai.
Okay, a drink. Okay.
Mai Tai, Métis, we need for Nadine because she's a for real Prince friend. Honey,
oh Lord, y'all doing too much. We got the Prince, we got the Mariah Carey,
Jetty and Patty.
Jetty and Patty. Y'all just got all the icons tied up.
All tied up.
Okay, Mr. Walker, did you find anything out? I guess it was a real secret.
Well, Nadine, honey, could you please enter in the comments am I pronouncing Prince's ex-wife's name correctly? I'm pretty sure it's Mai Tai.
Mai Tai.
Which does sound like a drink.
Oh, guess what? I know. I found a drink that I think I can drink.
Yeah, right.
I think it's called Mojito.
Ooh, mojitos?
Mojitos.
One, I think it's a lot of booze in that.
It's
when
really
did you
sweet.
drink that? Because 2 sips of that and you would pass out because you swore that the alcohol in my cheesecake made you fall asleep.
It did.
It could not have.
Check your phone. I think somebody's texting somebody.
That could not have happened. Okay.
A mojito. Yeah, mojito.
That it's got that mint. It's got
yes,
mint
it did have the leaves and it looked really pretty, and they put extra sugar in it.
It's pretty, but it's not tasty.
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. It's not tasty. No. Okay. So in the comments, that's a comment from our VIV saying that we're not broadcasting on Facebook, but so
we're not broadcasting on Facebook.
We don't have that Prince information yet. See, this is the reason why we need to hire an assistant to.
I'm not paying for him
to do fact checking. What? Yes, you are. We said we was hiring an assistant. Hello, D. And you need an assistant anyway. Now, quit acting cheap. All right.
Now people want to get paid too much money nowadays. I mean, they think they don't do nothing. Supposed to get $20, $25 an hour.
We posted for that position.
Haven't nobody want to get it.
Okay, but still. Okay. Speaking of my wife, in the comments last week, she challenged our statement that a person is not born evil. Remember, we had that discussion like about sociopathy and a sociopath. The layman's term for sociopath is that fool is evil.
That fool is evil and always being evil.
Right. And we were saying that something had to have happened early in childhood to turn a person into a sociopath. And something that Nadine was saying, she suggested that we take a look at the information on Charles Manson. Apparently, they revealed that he exhibited sociopathic traits from the jump at an early age. This is what we should do. We should take a position. One of us take the position that people are born. Some people can be born evil. The other take the position that they can't.
Okay, hold on. A researcher person that came up with something. Researcher.
No, we're on Facebook.
Oh, we're on Facebook now.
Okay, so we're on Facebook. Our VIV, she's been having a little bit, because she had some trouble last night with the podcast. I think she's having
Oh, you still on the podcast?
Nadine said that is how you say her name.
Okay.
And
wait. Did
yes.
Our listeners see how he just danced to her? Because he tried to quit something that he started. So you still on the podcast?
I am still doing the podcast.
Okay,
the Alpha
cool.
Male Perspective. Anybody wants to check
like
out
that
the podcast?
I do not like people who quit things.
It's on Wednesdays at 8:30. D.
What?
Whatever. Okay, so I'm willing to take the position
They born like
that some people are born evil.
Okay.
I'll do the research. You can take the position that that's not possible. I'm sure your research is just gonna come from the word that that's not possible.
That's not possible.
But
might be possible.
I'm curious to know what other people think about this.
Yeah.
And so on our Facebook page, if you believe that some people are born evil, please let us know. Okay? For those of you who disagree.
I don't even watch scary movies.
You wouldn't even let me talk about witchcraft on the air.
Exactly.
It's a whole lot that you are not able to do.
No, I just can't handle it. I don't want to. Just don't want it.
It can't jump on
in your ears, if you know.
Oh, stop
if you hear
it,
or
D.
look at it.
Oh my goodness! Bad spirits or whatever badness.
I know. I need to get someone
like
to come and take some spirits out my home. You're laughing. I'm serious. If you know someone, let me know.
Remember we talked about on
No,
the
I'm gonna
air
let one of my pastors do it. Don't worry about it.
We had someone come in.
Yeah, you did say that about your home.
But she couldn't get rid of that spirit.
Couldn't get rid of it.
He was attached to a kid. So, but you got a spirit in the house?
I think I do.
No, if you had a spirit in the house, you would know. If you think you do, you don't.
I don't.
No, you would know. What makes you think that you do?
I can't sleep at night.
That's been going on for years.
But let
you
me
ain't
tell
been
you
sleeping at
something.
night.
I know, but I can go other places and sleep though.
Cause you sure passed out at Terry's from that slice of cheesecake.
I sure did, didn't I? And then we woke up on round 2. Everybody went to sleep there. Everybody went to sleep.
We did
and
all
we
go to
did
sleep.
wake back up on round 2.
It wasn't from the cheesecake.
And
though.
we did not leave that house till like 8 o'clock in the morning. It was literally like 12 hours.
Yeah, we had a good time. That's odd that you are able to sleep other places.
I'm able to
It's
sleep everywhere else.
That doesn't mean it's a spirit, though, but it may be something about home. It could be as simple as your mattress. Okay, everyone, do not underestimate the importance of a good mattress.
Pillows.
Well, I don't even have good pillows. They have done studies on this, that getting the right mattress can make all the difference in the world in your sleep. That may be why you've had insomnia for all these years.
I done changed mattresses twice.
But are you getting the right one?
I'll go and you know.
Do you lay down and do all of that?
I'm about to spend a couple of $1,000 on a mattress. Yes, I'm laying out, coming back to, hey, give me a pillow.
You try all of them.
Yes.
What you may be liking may not be good for you, because some people like a really soft mattress and it's actually not good for them, and some people like a really hard, firm mattress and that's not good for them.
Okay, so right now I'm in the middle, because before I married my husband, I had a real soft mattress and it was so comfortable.
I love
Okay, hold on, time out. We have the researcher done found something. Well, don't be coming over here if you don't got fun, and get on back over there. You know my ADHD start going.
Your ADHD is off the chain. You immediately, all he did was roll his chair.
Don't be rolling over there. Stay over there.
Listen, y'all, all he did was roll his chair to get ready to provide us with some information.
He don't have no information to give us.
He's trying to get it. He's trying to get the information. Mr. Walker, are you looking up to see if the president was in Kansas City today, or are you looking at something about Prince and the mansion? Okay, so you're looking up to see if the president came.
No, it's nothing showing anybody came that was important.
I think the D might have been tripping.
No, the D was not tripping. I called the police too. So
The D's tripping. What? Nobody important in this town.
that maybe it was a secret. So that's the reason why I can't find it. It was a secret.
That actually would be possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be possible. They wouldn't let people know. But what top secret business is taking place in Kansas City?
Hey, we beginning to
Nothing.
be a big major city, though. Believe it or not,
Yeah,
we have all the
but not to the
apartments
point,
on the riverfront. Those are really nice.
Not to the point that the president needs to be here in secrecy. Okay, are you done with your check-in, D?
No, because what was I talking about? We was talking about the mattress.
Oh my Lord, the ADHD.
Okay, I'm done. I'm just done.
Oh, get a good mattress.
I have.
Yeah, well,
I have a Stearns and Foster now.
you need to let them help you with getting, because like I said, you may not know what's best for you. You need to let them check it out. Okay.
Or maybe I need to go get you can get a prescription for a mattress. And it's a whole prescription place for mattress.
A prescription mattress.
I'm going to tell the doctor that. Give me a
Okay,
prescription
because
for a
that
mattress.
sounds intense. Now we're talking about a $10,000 mattress,
Mm-hmm.
aren't we? I'm not playing those games. I don't sleep enough. I'm not trying to
But you
sleep that
will
much.
might sleep enough though.
Yeah, I'm too busy to sleep that well.
That's what I think too.
I need to be up working.
But I think that's part of the reason why I can't lose weight like I need to. I'm not getting enough sleep, because they said you're supposed to sleep some of the calories away.
Actually, they do say that bad sleep hygiene, bad sleeping habits can affect weight management.
Well, there go our problem.
But I don't
JP?
know. Well, we need to do some more research on that, though, because I don't know in what way. We need to gather the details, and we cannot ask Mr. Walker to look up anything else today, because clearly he's having trouble. Okay. I have been experiencing some Pavlovian thinking. Pavlov is the father of the theory on classical conditioning. We mentioned Pavlov. We have mentioned Pavlov before, but I never really explained Pavlovian.
That was the
theory.
first theories that we discussed in school.
But we don't really explain it on the show. But briefly, the theory of classical conditioning is basically how our brain makes connections between things, experiences, events, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the way Pavlov tested this with his Pavlov's dogs. Most people have heard of Pavlov's dogs. And so what he would do is before feeding the dogs, he would ring a bell, and the dogs and then he would give them the food. Well, quickly the dogs learned that the bell means that I'm about to eat. And so when he would ring the bell, the dogs would salivate, which is an unconditioned response, and then he would feed them. It continued even after he removed the food. The bell became connected to food. And that's how we as people, we pair things. And so for me, this is what I've been going through. On Wednesdays, my neighbor, their lawn care people show up. Both of my neighbors have the same lawn care company, and they show up and they start cutting grass and wake Sashi up at least an hour early every Wednesday. I'm accustomed to that. But a couple of weeks ago, I know someone.
What time do they start cutting grass?
They start cutting, I don't know. It's like
9 o'clock.
It's around 9. It's not technically too early, but it's early for my baby. She's a
Because she'll get up to 10 a.m.
She's a diva. She sleeps till 10.
She's about to go to the afternoon class of Head Start and daycare.
So, my baby sleeps until 10, 11. Sometimes she'll sleep until noon, but she's gotten a lot better. She does like to be able to sleep until at least a good 10 though. And so they wake her up and she'll come out in the hallway with her head down like this. And she said, the grass. Cut the grass.
She's acting like her daddy.
She's like, why are these fools cutting grass? They just woke me up. This happens every
At
week.
9 o'clock. I guess she really needs to be happy about that, because most grassmen start at 6 or 7.
Now, here's the problem. This is the Pavlovian piece, the classical conditioning piece. You know, a couple of weeks ago, a man complained about his neighbor cutting the grass in the morning, and the neighbor killed him.
That's why I don't watch the news.
He complained about it. They called the police. The police showed up and decided not to do anything. The police said, listen, y'all neighbors, y'all need to work this out. Like, figure it out. Why y'all calling us about this? The popos left, and the neighbor who was cutting the grass killed the man, called the popos back and said, you told us to take care of it. I took care of it.
Is that mental? That's the mental illness in the news, wasn't it?
We should have covered it under mental illness in the news. And so now, for me, because I know someone who knows the man that got killed, and so I ended up.
Wait a minute, it was right here in Kansas City?
It was right here, yes. And so I ended up hearing about just how horrible it was. He has kids, and so now, when I hear the lawnmower and them cutting grass in the morning, it makes me think about this horrible incident of a man getting killed because he complained that his neighbor was cutting grass too early on the weekend. And it probably was at 7 o'clock in the morning. And if you think about it, do not cut your grass at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or
But it get
Sunday.
hot.
Well, yeah, but it's the neighbors don't like that.
Well, from my subdivision,
That don't mean you kill them though.
It sure don't. Our subdivision, we can't do any grass cutting at least until 8. It's in our bylaws. It's in our bylaws.
8 is early. And so that's the thing about classical conditioning is now I end up thinking about this senseless murder every Wednesday morning when they start cutting the grass. Now, The positive thing about classical conditioning is that as time goes by, that will begin to fade. But I'm addressing this because classical conditioning applies also to like PTSD, because people who have PTSD, like if you're driving in the car and let's say a semi truck runs you off the road and dang near kills you, and if you, while you're driving in the car, let's say you're listening to like
go ahead on Patty,
a Janet Jackson or Patti LaBelle song, whatever song you are listening to, even that time of day, if it's raining when it happens, after that, every time you hear that song, it's going to trigger that trauma memory and all the feelings of terror and trauma that you had at that time. All of that is classical conditioning. Now, viewers are probably like, okay, so what do we do about it? Parents, when parents are raising children, you have to be careful about how you pair things, because some things you do not want paired together. And so you have to be careful about that. But
bad grades, you're getting your butt whooped.
Is that a good pairing?
Yes, it is.
That's a good pairing.
That's a good pairing. That's how it was in the D's house.
So when the kid looks at their grade card and sees D's and F's,
they start crying at school. And what can I do with?
Oh my God, listen.
And what can I do? Because I cannot bring this to my mama.
That is the conditioned response. If Pavlov was alive, he would love that you just gave that example. Looking at the grades and immediately start crying, because grades in and of themselves should not make a kid start crying. But
at the D's house,
if his brain has attached that butt whooping to those grades, when he looks at them, he will start crying.
And it was only one child out of three of them. The other three they knew, but that one middle one
would always end up crying.
Would always end up crying.
And you end up having to give him something to cry for.
And the teacher will call and be like, Miss Head, I'm like, yeah, it's going to happen.
And so we also have some classical conditioning going on with Sashi Boo when it comes to going over to my sister's house. And we talked about this.
Wow.
When I go outside to the car, she thinks I'm leaving and going to go to Mexico for a week, and she starts tripping out. And so here's the thing about classical conditioning is that if you go long enough separating the two things that have become fused together, that have become connected to each other, it should start to fade. The only time it doesn't is when it's intense trauma, like on the level of PTSD. Then you have to do some actual therapy to form that disconnection. But for most regular things, it can happen. And so families who have experienced like a tornado, their kids after that, any amount of rain, and they're like, this house is going to get picked up.
About to go.
This house is going to get picked up off the ground, and I'm going to end up 3 blocks away.
That's a generational one.
If the wind starts blowing really hard, and it can just be a regular storm, but because in their mind a storm has become paired with a tornado and a near-death experience, so they will have that trauma response as if, and this even goes for secondary PTSD, because you know, my in-laws survived a tornado in Tennessee, but my wife, even though she was here, when it would start storming, this woman's ready to head for the basement. She's like, we need to go to the basement. What? We don't need to go. Where we go to the...
That old secondary
PTSD.
I gave it the other night. It's secondhand.
We're not going to the... And... You want to just call it secondhand?
It's secondhand PTSD.
I don't know. You see, now we let you make up a lot of terms.
We starting our own book anyway.
Oh, D, we let you
the
make
JP and Stacy D Book of Knowledge. How about that?
We let you make up a lot of terms, but I don't know if you can start making up clinical terms like when there's already a clinical term in existence. You don't need to do that. But she's gotten better But
I bet she got
her
better because you be up there
anxiety-
talking mess and
I'm like, I'm not going to the
going no
basement.
basement.
I'll go
And
to the
give me my
basement when I
basement.
see the
She's not
tornado.
going either. Go down there if you want to. I'm not going. And she's like, okay. And after she comes
me
back up
tell
the
you.
stairs.
One time she wasn't even home, and she called me and the kids to tell us to go to the basement.
Did y'all
She
go?
had- I made the kids go. But here's what happened. I made the kids go because I was like, okay, I'm not going to go. But I'm not going to not send the kids. And then a tornado actually come, and she's like, you got
Third-hand
our kids
PTSD.
picked up. Right. But our neighbor, part of the reason why I didn't go is because all our neighbors are really old. And she was outside doing lawn work. And you know how the sky gets that funny grayish kind of color when the tornado's coming. And so I did start thinking.
And dog gets still.
And dogs get still.
It all gets still.
Oh, it all gets still. Yes, it does get still. And it just gets this weird look. It's the tornado look that's like, oh, a tornado might real. And so I was thinking, oh, this woman might be on to something this time. I think a tornado's coming. I saw that old woman out there in her yard, and I said, she's so old, she don't see that the sky is
Haven't even
saying,
paid it any attention.
old woman, get to your basement. And so I sent the kids to the basement, and I had to go over there and try to convince that
Rescue?
old woman.
What did she do?
She said she was fine, and she continued to pull weeds from her flower bin. Like, you go to your basement.
I got this.
I got this because I done seen this for the past 90 years, and I ain't scared. And she ended up being right because the tornado didn't come. So I yelled downstairs to the kids, y'all come on.
Come on back up.
Because I never went down there because I said if a tornado, if it does start getting crazy, I really might have to run out there and grab this old woman.
Oh, go on head on, Superman.
Me and that old woman would have ended up 4 blocks away. But I was going to try to pick up that old woman like, come on, we got to get you in the house. And so that's classical condition, Pavlov's theory of classical condition. And so I just need to ride it out because I don't want to remember somebody getting killed over cutting grass. Like, I don't want to have to remember that
See,
every
that's
single
what I'm
time
telling
they
you.
cut
When
the
people
grass.
say things, I have to stop them because it gets into my mind, and I just continue and just continue and continue.
That
Yeah.
classical condition, that's why because the D covered her ears and did the whole da 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 when I was trying to talk about witchcraft on this show, and I wasn't even talking about bad witchcraft.
I don't want to
okay?
hear about nothing.
I was talking about the good witchcraft because there are good witches.
Now we're
out
talking
there.
about the Wizard of Oz.
Here is another example of classical conditioning. When I was a kid, where our house was built, you know how they go in, they clear out all the woods and build houses. But the snakes are like, no, this is our territory. We ain't going nowhere. And so we would always get these big black snakes in the house, and other snakes too. But the big black ones was the most scary. They're not poisonous, but they're big, and that will make you run and scream. And so when it comes to, you know what?
What? He's looking at his notes, y'all. He done messed up.
I'm going to save that because I want to talk about that under our QOD.
Okay.
That's a good example under our QOD. So let's go to mental health and illness in the news, and then I'm going to talk about, because that falls up under anxiety being a learned experience. Okay.
Right.
So mental health and illness in the news. The Naming Commission discovered that West Point, which is a U.S. military academy, has a Ku Klux Klan plaque at the front of one of its military buildings. Okay,
and so they just now finding that out.
I'm trying to figure out how these fools just discovered this. This is at West Point. Like, it's a building that people go in and out of every day. So anyway, it's a hooded figure and it has Ku Klux Klan on it. They showed it on the news. Now, mind you, our defense secretary Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who was an African American, graduated from West Point.
And he never seen that.
He had to have seen. That's what I'm like. Why is it that no one has said anything about this?
Oh, I don't want to kick up no smoke.
Exactly. Well, here's what the problem is. Because the Ku Klux Klan was founded after the Civil War, the naming commission doesn't have the authority to force them to remove it. Because, you know, even here in Kansas City, like Truce is named after a slaveholder.
Okay, and that's going to happen.
And Warnell and all different streets. And so across the country, they're going through and saying, we're going to rename these places because the racism in America has gotten out of control. So let's just try to clean up this mess.
And, you know, and I really, truly have to disagree with that. I disagree with that. If it's there, it's there. Okay, let's learn the facts about them.
And, you know, this is interesting.
Coming from the D.
Because when we talked about this on the podcast, Alpha Male Perspective, that was one of the perspectives, which was, this is history,
yes,
and
you
don't remove it.
Don't remove
teach
it. Teach it. Exactly.
Right. Okay. And so here's what's going on.
Like they're trying to remove the statues of Abraham Lincoln. In that time, if you were white, you was a slave owner. About 95% of the time.
Who's trying to remove Abe Lincoln's statue?
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
Yeah, because that's not okay.
Well, they are. Y'all remember that song when we was kids? Abraham Lincoln was a good old man. He jumped out the window.
I don't know that song. Probably not appropriate. But, okay. Because Mr. Walker is holding his head and shaking his head. So apparently
Mr. Walker knows it.
Apparently that song must be terribly inappropriate.
We used to say it in elementary school.
I never heard whatever this inappropriate song
I'll tell you
is.
after the air.
Okay. I'm glad you didn't continue to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for not.
I know he got in trouble twice, so.
Okay, so here's the thing. The naming commission only has the authority to change names and remove statues and things of those things that are post-Civil War and that are pre-Civil War, and the KKK was founded after that. And so all they can do is encourage West Point to remove this. Now, here's the interesting thing. Donald Trump vetoed. Oh, yeah, I'm about to talk about Donald the Demon Trump. He vetoed the National Defense Authorization Act in an attempt to prevent the naming commission from coming into existence. But Congress overrode his veto.
He got overruled.
Overwhelmingly bipartisan support, okay?
That was good.
Both Republicans and Democrats said, listen, this man is nutty as 3 fruitcakes, and we are not going to let him. This is not happening. We're shutting this down. And so that's how the naming commission came into place, to take a look at, you know, mainly government buildings, streets, roads, facilities, military bases, and different things named after the Confederacy. So I hear what you're saying.
Who agreed with me on the podcast?
I'm not. Coleman did. Okay. Wait a minute. Was it Coleman or LV? It might have been LV.
I think it was LV because we see things a lot.
Y'all got them same weird beliefs. So it was either LV or Coleman or both of them. I can agree in a way on leaving some of these racist, you know, things in place to teach our young people about it. But at the same time, the country is so extremely racist right now that some young person showing up at West Point, I kind of feel bad for them to be in a predominantly white environment, and then there's KKK, Ku Klux Klan on the door, because it's easy for us to say, leave it there, we just gonna teach about it, but we're not there
Well,
with
evidently,
him.
it must didn't bother none of the other African American students up in there. Nobody else had brought it up.
Well, they probably, they so happy they made it into West Point that they're not going to make a ruckus. That's the other thing you have to think about. Like any young black kids at West Point, they're like, this is West Point. I'm going to act like I don't see that because I'm just happy I made it up in this camp. But the discomfort for them to be in that predominantly white environment and its military culture, I can see them being too intimidated to voice a complaint or protest, and I can see them feeling uncomfortable with the presence of something like that. And so before we say leave it there, we have to think about the students who are actually going to have to live with it. That's a lot for a young person, because you have to remember, D, our perspective on these things is the perspective of people who've been on the planet for 5 decades. But a young person,
We're on the 5th floor.
We on the 5th floor. But for a young person who is brand new on the planet, they're not prepared to deal with that. So I think they're gonna end up removing it.
I think it'll be good then.
So,
but I think it still need to be some history, like how did it come about, who put it up there, and things of that nature. It's always something to learn.
There's always something to learn.
Yes.
Okay, let's get to our question of the day. I had another story and it's real good, but we'll do it next week because it's not dated. Nature versus nurture. Is anxiety only hereditary or is it also learned? Now, let's get into this a little bit. All right.
I'm not waving at you. See, he tries to mess stuff up with me.
You almost made it.
But he kept on.
She almost managed and controlled
I tried.
ADHD.
I'm up here. Look what I'm doing.
But
down
you
here.
still said
Look
something.
What I'm doing down here.
Yes.
So he just kept on.
Okay.
Moving on.
For our viewers, we might as well bring them up to speed. The D does a horrible job of not saying hello and goodbye to the professor as he enters and exits the studio, and he's not helping because he waving and he knows you can't handle that. You didn't ignore it because he waved. I looked at him and was wondering, why is this fool waving at her?
And then he went to the door and was waving.
Why is this fool tempting her symptoms? And you couldn't handle it.
Couldn't handle it. He just kept on doing it.
Okay, D, let's get to the question of the day.
Okay, KUAW.
Control your symptoms and stay focused. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. What we have been covering in this 3-part series is primarily generalized anxiety disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder is passed down family lines. It is, for the most part, it's hereditary. But here's what I want you all to think about, because there are many different types and levels of anxiety. Anxiety that is fear-based, like the phobias, because of the anxiety disorders, phobias are included in that category. PTSD, like, these are all anxiety disorders. And when it comes to the phobias and anxiety that is fear-based, that's learned, because there are adopted kids who share the same anxiety and fears of their parents. It's learned. We teach our kids what to be afraid of. Now, I'm not saying that this is entirely bad, because
Stranger danger.
And for me, my experience as a sex offender therapist resulted in me teaching my sons a whole lot about avoiding sexual abuse. You know, they get to talking about, can I go over to so-and-so's house?
We're not doing it.
Who in that house?
Guess what? That was a learned behavior from how I was brought up. I never got to spend the night over nobody's home.
Right. Because you
Was that
don't
that
know
old school
who's
stuff?
in there. No, well, no, because
We were raised by older,
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Because young folks let their kids go spend the night anywhere. But here's the thing. I have had clients who were sexually abused during overnights at their friend's house by a parent, the father,
The big brother,
that
the
creepy looking
cousin.
uncle, the half senile grandpa who's, his penis is everywhere it ain't supposed to be. And so because of that, I was so afraid of letting them go to people's houses and like spending the night. I don't think
I'll come back and get you
ever
about
allowed.
10.
Right, like you ain't spending the
19.
night.
That's how it was with my children.
Because
And
the freak comes out at night.
yeah, but everybody could come over to my house because I don't know
Yes.
what's going on in no one else's, but I know what's going on in mine.
And that's what we would do is say, listen, why don't you invite your friends
It's
over
over here.
And we'll give you. Now, sometimes that didn't go well because one of my sons, he invited his little girlfriend over. And one of
Well,
our
that was
foster
good.
sons basically
You could
stole
watch.
his girlfriend. Because we had told her, they was in the family room watching football, and we had told this boy, leave them alone. Well, we was off doing our
Ooh,
thing.
Lord,
He
have
in
mercy.
there, and him and her
It
had a
wasn't his anyway.
connection.
Wasn't his anyway.
They formed a connection. And my son was so mad. I was like, how he steal your girl? He don't even like girls. So I was like, she wants him now because one, he don't want her. And two, we didn't know he came in the room and started interacting with her. Yes.
Wow.
But that's what we would do. That's a healthy fear. What I want parents to think about is as you raise your kids, you do need to teach them healthy fear,
Most definitely.
which should not turn into severe anxiety, but healthy fear keeps us safe.
Safe.
So you do want to teach them about, how to avoid or prevent things like sexual abuse or, even the fear of drunk driving. You don't want your teenagers out driving around drinking a 6-pack of beer with their dumb friends. And these are things for
Get out
kids
the
to
car
be-
with them.
And for us black folks, you better teach your kids how
Driving
to
black.
interact with the popos, how to function and survive in America. That is a healthy fear that is going to prevent them from getting beat to death or killed or hung or something ridiculous like that. But I also want parents to be aware of your anxiety that is irrational, unwarranted, and that you do not want your kids to learn from you. That is important. And remember last week we talked about when I took my Sashi Boo to get her shot. And I played it so cool because if I had a fear of needles and shots, I would have been freaking out,
Yes.
which would have taught her before she even ever got the shot. That would have taught her, oh my goodness, this is something horrible. This is something scary. She would have had a fit. It would have took me and 3
Oh,
nurses
bad.
to hold her down. I played it cool. As far as she was concerned, that needle was like a toy. And she did not wince or cry when she got that shot. I played it like, this is nothing. And so that's what I want parents to be aware of is be aware of your own anxiety. And even if you have a phobia, because what I was about to talk about before was the snakes. When I was a kid, whenever a snake would be present in the house, everybody would run and scream, okay? And sometimes my mother would have as many as like 12 foster kids in the house at a time. And I'm talking, that's a stampede of people running and screaming. That's a stampede. And so as a kid, I didn't know that the black snakes are actually harmless. All I knew is that they were really
It's
long.
a snake.
Mr. Walker, they are harmless, aren't they? but they're big.
Yeah.
And they're really scary. Look, if everybody is running from something and black folks, if two black folks
scared.
If two black folks start running, what do all the other black folks do? They start running. They start running. I have ran.
But your white friend is just sitting there like, wow, y'all running.
You might not remember this. One time, you and I and a friend of ours was at a club and everybody started running because a fight had broke out. But I didn't know that a fight had broke out. But everybody started running, and I didn't start running. And she was like,
"Where was I at? I was gone."
Yeah, you was gone. You was gone. This is when she had got a brand new car that night. A brand new car, and we had went out.
Red Honda. We was kicking it.
We went out. We went out. But yes,
I'm a designated driver.
Because she doesn't drink, right? Except now she wants to drink mojitos, which are full of booze. Okay, and so as a kid, my fear of snakes is learned to the point where even now, if I see snakes, because we went to this aquarium, natural something place this past weekend, and I told my wife, I said, I'm probably gonna have a nightmare tonight. Because we're looking at all these snakes. They had cobras, they had pythons, they had this, they had that.
The bad snakes, not the black snake.
Now, a little bit of balance. My mother did try to counteract it because my mother was a fearless person and she grew up on a farm. She was fearless. And so she would kill snakes. And so at some point she said to me, listen, you think you gonna keep running and screaming with all the rest of these people? You got nothing coming, because if I'm busy, because she would be busy. She was
doing
a beautician.
Hair
She's
and
like,
everything.
I can't be in the middle of giving a perm
and trying to kill the snake.
and trying to kill a snake. I need you to go handle that. And I was like, what? I'm looking at who is this woman talking to, because I'm going to keep running and screaming. And she was like, no, you're not. And so my mother taught me how to kill snakes. But at that point,
how do you kill them?
The fear, there is a technique for killing snakes. I don't know if I should go into it though.
No, we don't have enough
got
time.
snake lovers. Well, and there's snake lovers out there. But there is a technique for killing snakes. And so the problem was, at the time that she decided I need to teach you how to kill these snakes, the fear was already there. So I will kill snakes, because as soon as me and Nadine moved into our house, I went to the hardware store. I bought the tools that you need for killing snakes. Okay, you need a rake and a hoe.
A hoe?
Literally a hoe, not a hoe off the streets, because she's just gonna run and scream.
Okay.
And so Nadine was like, why'd you buy that hoe? Because you don't garden, you don't farm, you don't do nothing.
Don't do nothing.
That's for killing snakes.
That's the
her eyes rolled up in her head and she walked out the room. Like, whatever, that's what it's for.
I can really see her doing that too.
That's what it's for.
That's how you are with the snakes. And then you the same way about the tornadoes. Match made in heaven.
Right. And so here's something else about anxiety. I noticed that my sons do not touch public restroom door handles. Actually, it's not that I notice it. I basically told, and we've talked about this on the show. I'm not OCD, but I'm borderline. I have some anxiety about germs. And I still don't have fingerprints because I wash my hands so much that, I still don't have my fingerprints. I don't have fingerprints. Right. I don't have fingerprints. And I was thinking about this, how with our sons, they were not allowed to, because men will urinate, defecate, like they pee and crap and walk past the sinks like the sinks don't work. Okay, in public, and they grab that door handle. That door handle is sticky.
Is it sticky, Mr. Walker?
She's asking Mr. Walker, because Mr. Walker been touching that door. Mr. Walker, don't touch these public restroom door handles. But in a way, I kind of have taught my sons to have a little bit of anxiety about germs by requiring them to use paper towels, to turn off the handles to the sink and open the door, and if there's no trash can there, throw the paper towel on the floor as a consequence for not having a trash can. Whatever the establishment is, stop trying to make people touch all this pee and crap that's on those door handles. And so just as a parent, I've paid attention to that, paying attention to it with Sashi, because I don't want her to have a lot of irrational fears and anxieties. But I've noticed she's already neater. Like when she eats, we haven't used bibs with her. We threw her bibs out ages ago. She could eat a whole meal and not get any food on her. And I'm like that.
Sassy Shasha.
I do not spill food on me. I don't like people touching my food. And I've noticed me saying to Sashi, honey, could you stop touching daddy's food? Because her little finger, her and Nadine, they will touch your food. And her finger, and she just a babe, she pure. But them pure little fingers, I need them off of my food. And so I noticed that she kind of keeps clean hands, but I'm trying to hold back because I don't want her to develop OCD and end up with some anxiety. But as she gets older, she's gonna notice I really don't hardly touch my own food. Like I'll oftentimes eat pizza with a fork and a knife. Like, you know how a good juicy cheeseburger where the grease run down to your elbow?
As soon as you find one of those, let me know.
Five Guys.
No, it ain't the real juice.
That's good juice. But you know, a lot of people take the burger out and they fist the burger like this and that. I can't do it. I keep the burger wrapped up, and you peel down the wrapping so the paper catches all the juice, because I don't want the juice to run down to my elbow. That's not okay. That's not appropriate. I don't need all that, but I want that juicy burger. And so even when I'm eating, I only will get, if I have to use my hands,
I'm surprised you're not doing
fingers.
I'm really surprised you're not doing a fork, because you know we have a friend that
I will
chicken,
eat a burger with a fork.
That will eat chicken wings with a fork and knife.
That's excessive.
Well, our friend does that.
Who? Don't say the name. But I don't know who that
Red.
is. Really?
The red Honda, old school red Honda. Yes.
She is tripping.
Eat the chicken wing with a knife and fork.
She's tripping. Okay.
But she's a Delta, so.
Oh, the D. Okay, our VIV is a Delta. She's about to blow up the comments. Anyway, what I want parents to think about is take a look at your fears and anxieties and be careful, because if it is not a healthy fear, do not pass it on to your kids.
What is that her?
This is easier said than done. She said, I'm on Stacy D. The comment already came in, like, tell the D to stop. And so, but it's hard because anxiety is so deep within us. It's hard to not pass it on to your kids.
It really is.
And so I've noticed, like, if Sashi's playing and she falls, even if internally I'm like, oh shoot, is she okay? And da-da-da-da, I play it cool, I chill. And all these trips to urgent care, I'm gonna cut them out. As
of what, 2023?
I'm gonna try to cut those out now, because I don't want her to develop anxiety about her health. What I'm gonna start doing, because my father-in-law is a retired surgeon, I'm gonna just start calling him and saying, listen, do we need to take her somewhere? Because her vein is showing.
Give her some ginger.
Her vein
Give her
is
some
showing.
ginger ale and some Benadryl.
Some tussin.
Some tussin. My kids knew that bottle, honey.
So that is it. That basically the answer to this question is some anxiety is about genetics. It's about hereditary. Other anxiety is learned behavior. Even kids who are not biologically yours will learn anxiety from you. So please be careful and try to stop yourself from teaching your children to be afraid of things that they should not be afraid of, having irrational fears. This applies to me also. I am going to be working on just letting my baby get dirty. Cause like
I don't think she's gonna get dirty now. But this goes back to one of our earlier shows last year. We are our children's first teacher, and you have to always remember that. So teach wisely, and be aware of what you're doing.
Very true. That's our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and remember, worry about nothing
and pray about everything.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye now.